Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in. You are with us on our stream live with Dontae Sharpe. We're excited to be extending what has been our exhibit. We opened up at December 4th, featuring Gary Tyler and really highlighting the story and conversation around Gary Tyler's life. Someone that was wrongfully convicted and served 42 years in the Angola prison system, initially starting off on death row. This was in 1974. He was vacated and released in April 2016. And so, part of this exhibit, we have hosted a series of conversations for which you can find on our live website, www.historicalblackprecinct.org. And you can find our conversation with Professor Craig, who is responsible for the Innocent Project that is out of the University of Miami, as well as you'll find this conversation linked on there as well with Dontae Sharpe. So we're super excited to have Dontae with us on this stream. And yeah, so enjoy, and we will be taking questions. So if you see this and you have questions, even after it streams live, and you still have questions, please feel free to share those questions and we will respond to them as this will be uploaded to our YouTube as well. So let's bring in Dontae. There he is.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, great man. Thank you once again for coming and being a part of this very special experience to not only just elevate this conversation that is very important, but also to give us some insight as to life in this moment, right, for you and where you are. So I was sharing that the exhibit that we currently have on is Grief Not Guilty, Reclaiming My Time. We know that phrase was made infamously famous by our representative, Congresswoman, Senator, and lead lady in our life, Maxine Waters, who reclaimed her time on the floor and made sure we knew that we could do that. And so part of this exhibit, we wanted to reclaim the time that
Yes.
injustice has taken away from us. And so you being part of this conversation is essential. It actually could not have happened without stories like you who have been willing to share through For Justice, the For Justice Project. So just to jump right in, I want you to share with us who Dontae is. Like, who are you? Because a lot of people don't know who you are, but a lot of people do know who you are. So I want you to tell us who you are.
Well, like once again, good afternoon. It's a privilege to be asked to speak up here and share my story on this platform with you with such a uh, great story that I was really drawn to from my cousin Kimaya about the police, the first black police department. I never knew that. I've been to Miami a few times, and it struck me. At first, I was like, nah, because I thought it was just a regular police, and because I still have some issues with the police with certain things. Not all police, but the way the system's set up. But um, and it touched me to see that because I never knew that. That it was actually an all black police force, and just to be here is an honor. But yes, as you know, my name Dontae Sharpe. I did 26 years on a life sentence for a crime I didn't commit. I got exonerated August 22nd, 2019. Um, And right now, after I got exonerated, I went to work at Forward Justice. That's an organization out of Mooresville, North Carolina, and they do a lot of work in criminal justice reform, voting rights, civil rights, just a plethora of things that they do there in the community and around the community and around the country. And I was afforded a job opportunity after I got exonerated to start working there as a RISE fellow, a program they created for me to help me reintegrate back into society smoothly, as smooth as could be. And they've been helping me for ever since I've been home, since December of 2019. I've been with them, and they've really been kind of holding my hand. And they helped me set up speaking engagement to tell my story, to try to help set free and uplift my people and the people I left behind that are still sitting in prisons, wrongfully convicted, and just to help change the criminal justice system and be a part of the criminal justice reform.
So you mentioned that the precinct, and it's triggering. It is very triggering. We don't. Many of the members of this community who have lived here, I hear it all the time. I've lived here all my life, and I never knew this building existed. Or I lived here all my life, and I would pass this building. I would see it, but I never came in. And I think that that is the story of a lot of people. So please know that you are not the only one. We are still elevating and amplifying the story of the work that these officers did. As you know, there's a system to cover up history. There is a
Exactly.
system to hide the successes of blacks and brown people. And again, it's a part of the process, right? It's a part of their process of making sure we don't know the options and the opportunities and the obstacles that we've come over to be as successful and the champions that we are. The first five, who is the shirt that I'm wearing, was the first five that were sworn in here at the city of Miami. And this first five grew out to be over 100 sworn in law officers that were black. And they served the colored communities here in Overtown, right? The Negro district communities, which are Coconut Grove, Overtown, which was known as Colored Town back then, or the Harlem of the South, if you want to get on the entertainment side, and then the Liberty City area. So yeah, I can understand why a lot of people are triggered by the idea of just hearing the word policing, which was really interesting because when these guys started, they weren't allowed to be called police officers. They were only allowed to be called patrolmen. And I think that that speaks, well, one, they thought they were doing it to harm them, right? To show that they were not equal. But I actually believe that what it did was it set them apart and made them more connected to the community that they lived, worked, and played in than anything else. And it made them more approachable. The impact of their work was seen by the decrease of crime more than 200% in the community of Overtown. So I empathize and I hear you. And I think that that is exactly why if I say, if we had those black officers, would your situation have been what it was? If you had black officers that knew the context of life of a black man, would it have been the same way? You know, would your life have been turned out the same way it did, right? If that access point was there. Let me ask, when you entered into the system, what age were you when you served that 26 years? What age did you start?
I got locked up in the county. I stayed in the county jail about a year and a half, and it was 2 weeks after my 18th birthday, and I did a year and a half in the county jail. Then I got sentenced in uh, I was going to say 2024. I got sentenced in 94. Excuse me, I got sentenced in 95, July of 95. And I went to prison. I was 20, and I went to I still had to go to the youth Fred because I wasn't old enough to go to adult prison. So they sent me to the youth prison.
And what state was this in?
North Carolina.
This was in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And did you when you first had this encounter, did you know what you were up against? Did you know what was happening at the time that it happened, or is it something that just kind of you fell into and you learned later on that this is a wrongful conviction? This is this is not right.
At the beginning, when it happened to me, I was young, and I just really didn't realize the seriousness of what had been done to me. I just really just realized that I would actually at the time that it happened, I didn't really know the seriousness. I was still naive, hadn't really been nowhere, seen nothing to know enough, and because I never thought that the police would actually do something like this. I never thought that, the system would actually do me like that. And because it wasn't just one part of the system, all parts of the system took part in my wrongful conviction. And I never thought it would happen. I didn't think, I was so naive. I just never thought that that happened like that, and it
And,
would happen to me, you
and for
know.
those who know that story or your story of what happened, do you mind? Can you share the parts of the story of how it ended up leading into your wrongful conviction?
Yes. Uh, this white guy got killed in the neighborhood I lived in, and they came and locked me up and said it was a drug deal gone bad. And I went to court. A young girl was used to testify. Two people used to testify and lie on me and say I did it. And I ended up getting a life sentence to 20 to life, and I got convicted. And I did 26 years.
And how did they prove that that was a lie? How did your legal defense team prove that that was a lie?
The witness recanted in 1997. The young girl, one of the witnesses recanted and said that she had lied, and that didn't work. So I went on for years and years because that's how the system does. And I went on and got denied that. I went back on emotional appropriate relief, better known as a MAR, and I got back in court on her recantation, but the judge turned it down. And eventually I went up and down through the system throughout all those years to the Supreme Court, back down, back up again through the appellate court and different motions in federal courts. And then eventually I got a scientist, um, a forensic scientist. I think that's
Hmm.
what you call it. The
Yeah.
scientist lady, she came forth and said there's no way possible that the crime could have happened the way that the witnesses said it happened. There's no way possible. And she testified that on a second MAR hearing a hearing I went back to in 2019. And that's when the judge believed what the scientist said, offered the evidence, and she said she would have never went along with it. The scientist did. She would never went along with none of the evidence if she had known, but she hadn't been shown. That's what she testified, all of the evidence at the time of my trial.
Mm. So she wasn't giving all the full facts to in order to
Hmm.
share during the time. While you were spending your life and your life was still going in while you were incarcerated, can you take us to some of the moments or the events that happened while you were incarcerated that fueled your positivity that you were going to beat this case? Or was there moments that you were able to find? Like, was there some key things that happened while you were incarcerated? Maybe people you met, conversations you had that really fueled you and gave you that optimism that you were going to win or you were going to keep fighting?
Really, it was God. First, it was believing in God and just having faith. When you on your back, you ain't got nowhere to look but up. And being in prison, you on your back, you at the bottom of the barrel on this earth. And I had no other place to look. I always was taught that God, you need help to call on God, and I just had faith. It wasn't a perfect faith, but I believed enough to keep going and take another step and take another step, even when I was down, depressed, hurt, angry, with all the different denials and dismissals and turn downs I got when I went back to court, thinking I was going to get out. And it always was just believe, have faith. And then I had my mother that would visit me, my mother and my aunt that's passed away. My mother's still alive, and she would support me through all visits all the time. And then I ran into the Duke Wrongful Conviction Clinic through writing letters, and my mother and aunt writing letters and contacting people. And I got contacted by the Duke Wrongful Conviction Clinic and Teresa Newman, Jill Coleman, professors, and Jamie Lau and Reverend Barber. And it took a village. So many people that came in my life. Caitlin Swain, that's the founder of Forward Justice, one of the founders of Forward Justice. Um, some people that were writing me, Christian, 97-year-old women, 90, men, um, a few preachers, not many. Um, but I had a plethora of people that came in and encouraged me in so many different ways. I can't even name them all. And it took so much. It took a village, like I said, to help me keep the faith and just believe that I had people on the outside fighting for me, as well as me doing what I was supposed to do while I was on the inside to bring about the victory that we finally got in 2019, my exoneration.
Hmm. And when you talk about what you had to do while you were inside, what are, because you mentioned some of the relationships of people that are in there that you had to leave, and that's part of the grief process, right? I think that the excitement of you being out is almost equally challenged by the fact that you know you've let that people who depend or who love you are still incarcerated. What is that? What was that like? That relationship that was built, those relationships that were built while you were in there.
Well, I'm still in contact with a few of the guys. Some of them has since gotten out, but there are guys I ran into a few guys since I've been home. You kind of can get survivor's remorse a little bit.
Okay.
You know, even though I was innocent, I was grateful and blessed and glad to be exonerated and prove my innocence and get out. But that knowing that the conversation I had with guys and talked to guys and seen their paperwork and know that they were just like me, sounded just like me in the beginning, it really bothered me in the mix of my excitement. So you can't be 100% excited and just so happy to be out when you know in your heart that you have met some real good guys that didn't belong in there or that did was sentenced to too much time, not just people you believe that were innocent like you, but people that were sentenced to too much time and things like that. And you do kind of have a type of, I guess you can call it survivor's remorse or something like that. When you
Yeah.
look back and think back, and when some of them called me and they, talk about what they were going through in there, you kind of be like, man, you glad that you out. And they be telling you they glad you out, but at the same time, you know how they're feeling because you was in their same shoes in the sense, and going through what they went through, even though I was innocent, I still was still looked upon and treated like I was guilty.
And I'm sure that has fueled the fire that you now have with you with the push. Can you tell us more about the work that For Justice and you have been doing just to bring awareness? We're grateful that you were able to be part of this conversation, aligning with this exhibit. And we've already said that this is going to be an ongoing relationship as we build out to continue to bring awareness that not everybody that is incarcerated is guilty of what they're being convicted of and or have been received a just sentence for their action. And so we will be continuing this conversation, but tell us what you have been doing and the work that you and For Justice have been working on.
Okay. First of all, for justice, I'm telling you, I might be a little biased because they have actually been holding my hand since I've been home. Just having people to talk to that are not sympathetic, well, somewhat, that just give me an ear sometime. And they helped me get my first apartment that I ever had in my life when I got out, my first job. They helped me when I have issues and problems. Like I say, they set up my speaking engagements, as well as Duke University Wrongful Conviction Clinic too. And they set up my speaking engagement. So we've been alive. I went and they have set it up for me to go speak to Congress. I traveled with Reverend Barber at times when he contacted me and the Poor People's Campaign and speak. I have been with Black Voters Matter for the Voting Right Initiative and um, Give Back Our Vote and Unlock the Vote. We did that. We do a lot of criminal justice reform, but lately it's been mostly around the voting rights and vote issues. Second Chance Alliance with Daryl Atkinson, Christy Puckett. Um, and we just, the COVID-19 release, getting
Uh-huh.
people released from prison with COVID-19. We got like 1,200, or maybe more than that. It was a few thousand that we were actually able to get released. Fort Justice is really active in a lot of stuff, and with me, I do a lot of speaking and telling my story and how I feel and how I believe and how I know the system to be. I mainly focus on criminal justice reform.
Hmm. And in this process, obviously, you've dug deep into the wrongful acts of this system. So you speak from not just a place of experience, personal experience, but you've also dug deep into the research and the what they're doing and how they're going about it, with the potential of giving um, qualified immunity to police officers. What can you say to the impact that that would have on individuals in our community? Should law enforcement be given qualified immunity?
Well,
I,
that's a
I,
topic.
I,
That's
I know, I know, and I will admit that was not one of the initial. But when you brought up this, it wasn't one of the initial questions. But I want to really hear you because you and also because you're on the ground, right? You are really having the conversations with people that have already been wrongfully convicted and are experiencing challenges with getting their case reheard. And so right? You know better than most. You know better than probably many of the lawyers that are out here saying they represent these people, right? So
exactly.
that's why I wanted to ask this of you.
Well, to be short and sweet with it, man, I don't think that should be in it, really. I don't think it should be any qualified immunity. I just think when you're dealing with wrongful convictions, or excuse me, when you're dealing with time out of somebody's life, the most precious commodity we have, when you
Yeah.
do the things that I've seen the system do, district attorneys, judges, police officers, and the like, I think that they should be able to feel what the person feels. Because
Mhm.
it's nothing like the feeling and to have that time taken away from you, your most precious commodity you have as a human being is time, your life every day, So I don't really believe in it. I don't think it should be any immunity to anything, especially when it comes to that.
Yeah. When you went in, there was when you went in to serve time for your wrongful conviction, technology was not what it is today, right? There's a lot of things that weren't in, and I heard you mention that Ford Justice really has guided your hand, even in helping you find an apartment, right? Because I think that sometimes we forget you went in. 18 was pretty much so you hadn't even experienced what it's like to pay bills to, so you hadn't.
Taxes.
Right. What has been one of the most aha moments since you've been out, and been back integrated into this system that we have been part of? What have you just seen that's kind of blown your mind? It's like you can't believe this is happening, or this has been invented.
Uh, it's not really nothing that's been invented. I got an aha moment with the phones, keeping all these passwords and things like that, and my
Uh-huh.
laptop. Still learning to keep my password and keep the same password. And every time I forget, I had to go back and redo another password. The passwords and the technology a lot with these phones. But the real aha moment for me wasn't uh, altogether the technology. It was, and it is, the family structure and dynamic has broken down so much over the time that I was gone that troubles me more than anything. And I'm speaking from my experience trying to, I guess, fit back into my family, so to speak.
Hmm.
And that's the most traumatic part that's bothered me the most is the family dynamic, not just mine, but just what I see with families.
Can you point out some of those things that you're referring to?
It's like, me and my brothers, me and my daughter, trying to relate to them and in the way that won't be too pushy or too overbearing or not let my faults and traumas cause me still, so to speak, to be simple and straightforward, act like I'm still in prison, because a lot of people don't realize when you do that much time in prison, you've been highly affected. And like
Mm-hmm.
somebody once said to me, another lawyer, like, people don't realize the people that's been in your shoes, Dontae, they are effed up.
Yeah.
But the system and thing don't want to realize that they actually F y'all up,
Yeah.
you know, and you don't want your effed up personality and ways that you, from what you went through, to encroach on your family, or so that's one of my biggest struggles, is trying to relate to my daughter, trying to relate with my mom again out here on the other side. She came to see me and visit. We related in visit, in that
Mm-hmm.
controlled 1.5 to 2 hour window we had to be with each other. But that won't nothing. That's nothing compared to once you get out here and you with them 24 hours a day, every
Mm-hmm.
day, living in the houses with them and trying to. You got to relearn everybody, learn them over again. Except for my little brothers, 3 of them, they were little kids, and I come home. They got daughters that are grown, 18, 19, 20 years old, sons, and they grown, they married. All of that, I had to come home and try to renew my mind to the things of the way things are out here now. That's the
Mm-hmm.
biggest struggle, trying to just reconnect with my family.
And what about the culture of the black? I know when, but I knew it. I knew it. So I'll let you finish it. The culture. I'm gonna let you finish it, but I already feel like I know, but I'm gonna let you tell us when, because things were different, right? Things were the way we appreciated community and family and other people was quite different, right? And so you've been closed away from watching the progression or the erosion of some of the things that were in existence. So can you speak to that? Can you share some of your thoughts around that? Because you're a time capsule, by the way. You are a literal time capsule.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I say that a lot. I be telling my daughter, I catch myself telling my daughter and different people, I said, man, when we was young back in the 90s and 80s, you still, like now, it's a lot of these kids don't even know who, their forefathers were, that fought for them to have the things that they have and be able to do the things that they don't even know. Martin Luther King, barely Malcolm X, and, Marcus Garvey, and Harriet Tubman, and those people. They don't know nothing about it. When I was younger, all you heard about were those people. You seen their pictures up in your grandmama and your mama them house, and I was amazed when I came home just to see how we, I try not to dog us so much. I don't want to feel like I'm putting my people down, but I just seen the difference when I came back out. I was just like, it's like our cultural, not blackness, or our cultural, the little cultural stuff that we did have and cultural icons we did have,
Mm-hmm.
nobody really holds on to them no more. I heard so much about them when I was a kid, all the time, from my family and friends of our family, just people in general in the communities and things like that. You don't hear a lot about that no more. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to go too far into that,
No.
because I really have a lot of opinions on a lot of stuff, but my opinion is just that mine, so.
Well, and
But
I think,
that's what I noticed amongst
yeah,
our people.
and I know that, and the reason why I think your opinion is very valuable, um, in as much as it is yours, but I think it also allows us to hear where we might have taken some, where as a culture and as a community that we allowed some missteps. Um, you were kind of um, you were kind of closed in from the music that influence the behaviors. And I've heard this from some other people who have been able to speak to the conversation. Look, they either were serving time and they didn't get access to the music and they didn't get access to the videos and the so they weren't influenced by that. And so now that you weren't influenced solely by those moments, you have your own influence experience. You experienced the culture of being incarcerated, but you still had this thing to come back out. And so now you're trying to acclimate to a system, to a way that demonizes women or uses negative approaches to family, right? And I think that's to be talked about, right? And I think we can
Hmm.
all learn from those moments and from that experience that you had. Is there a cultural positive that you would take out of the prison system and say that it's better than what is shown or exemplified out here in society?
Um, yeah, it's one I tell people a lot too when I talk. One thing you'll learn in there, if you think you tough, it's people that's tougher than you or crazier than you in there. And when you go in there, it's gonna be two things. You're gonna be prey, you're gonna be destroyed, you're gonna be devoured, or you're gonna be. We used to say back in the day, we used to say you're gonna be a man or a mouse. And in there, you'll learn respect. You'll learn to read people very well and be able to respect other people's space, opinions, and all. You learn to how to operate. You learn how to respect people really. Because I notice a lot of in prison you still learn a lot about outside because a lot of people from outside in the streets in the world, the real world, come in and out of prison when you do a lot of time like that. So you see and hear a lot of stuff from the world, and you get access to music, videos, and things like that if that's what you want to do through the TVs and the radios and stuff they gave us. But and I noticed the change and saw the change from when I went in to when I came. We had a few gangster rap had just come out when our gangster music had just come out when I not too long before I got locked up. And for me to I was able to hear those things. I was able to hear and see, but the thing I learned by being in there, that's not real. A lot of that is not real. That's entertainment. That's for you to dance to, bob your head to. It's not for you to go out and do nothing stupid off of the lyrics and the words. Because most people are not. Some of them are talking about their actual lives that they live from being poor and poverty and what they saw around them every day. So, like in prison, if I were to make a song of about what I saw around me every day, it wouldn't be. It would be considered like they do rap music now. It would be
Yeah.
considered banned because if you tell the truth about what your surroundings was made up of. But it also taught you to, like I say, to be respectful to people, know your boundaries and to set boundaries, and to just stay, mind your business, stay in your lane. It's a lot. It's a lot. I could go on and on for days talking about what it taught you, but I know one thing: it taught you to be respectful.
Be
Because if you
respectful.
didn't, it would be somebody that was tougher than you that would give you
Mm,
some respect
yeah.
for real. You know.
Wow. We opened up for questions, and we have a few questions that came through. I want to um, give a appreciation to Stephanie Creates and the she's our production manager. She's producing this show for us. So once again, shout out to Stephanie Creates and Going Over Town. One of the questions that we have is: have you had a chance to reconnect with the young lady who recanted her her story?
No, no, ma'am. No, I haven't. I haven't seen her since the day that she got on the stand in 2019, August 22nd, that day that I was exonerated. I haven't seen her since that day. Um, I wanted to, but I don't really have a desire to. I'm not angry at her, nothing like that, because I knew she was a little young girl at the time, real younger than me, by a few years. So I don't have nothing against her, nothing like that, but I haven't had the opportunity to. And she still go through a lot from lying on me. She still go through a lot herself mentally, as she said herself. So I haven't really had the opportunity to.
And what about the police officers? Has there been any response or reaction you've had or experienced with those police officers that were part of that?
Not really, because they're all out off the force now.
Okay. Oh wow. So they
It's been
lost.
so long, it was so
Uh
long.
huh.
Yeah, it's been so long now since I've been out. It's been like 31 years, 32 years or something like that.
Uh huh.
So a lot, they're not even on the force anymore. None of them.
I'm curious. Did any because of your case and because of the way it was handled in the and all the cover up and things that happened, has it forced them to now look at other cases where these individuals, the judge and the police, were involved? Has it forced them to look at other people's cases? Do you know?
Um, I don't really think so. I haven't
Okay.
heard anything about nothing like that, and that's part of the reason why. I do what I do too, to try to keep, keep it, keep it stirred up, keep the coals stirred up and keep the word out there and to keep it before people's faces because I haven't heard nothing like I haven't seen where they actually went into other people's case. I did see one guy get exonerated after he did like 8 years from my hometown.
Mhm.
Um, but other than that, I haven't actively seen. Now I did see that I did hear that the district attorney, Ferris Dixon, the black district attorney that was there at the time of my release, I did hear that he was going to look into cases and give a more equal eye to the cases when they come across his desk saying that they're innocent. He said he was going to give a better eye at it and try to create something, a program or something. But I haven't heard nothing about that since then.
Hmm. What would you say to your 17, 18-year-old self if you could back then? I think that's a common question that a lot of people want to know. What would you have done differently?
What would I say to my 17-year-old self? Um, First off, as I'm about to turn 50 in about 2 or 3 weeks, I really see a lot of stuff different now. Get to know God, Jesus Christ, your higher power, whoever that may be. Well, me talking to me, Jesus Christ, don't worry about peer pressure or what people think or say about you. Do what you know to be right and how you were raised. Stay in school and be true to yourself and who you are and who your family raised you to be and the morals and principles they gave you.
Mm,
And you will be all right,
yeah,
especially with the God part.
especially with the God part.
Exactly. Because you living this life as a black man or as any man, especially as a black man or a black teenager or black youth in this country, you're gonna need something outside of yourself. Cause I see so many suicides amongst us and stuff, just happening now. Like you really police shootings, things like that. It's so much, man. It's like we're under attack. I don't know if we're trying to make us extinct or what, man. But
Mm.
we truly need, something higher than man, above man, greater than man. You really do. Faith, you really need it. It's
It's like air. It's like
yeah.
water, air. Yeah. Because you mentioned that, and we know that grief goes through multiple phases. There's several phases of grief that an individual goes through, and you talked about the survivor remorse and probably some stock syndrome concerns. How do you keep your peace? What do you do in order to go into that safe space and to be able to keep your peace or disconnect for just those moments, right? Because you're carrying a lot of weight. Um, what is there any particular things you do? I don't want to start naming out things. I just want to hear what you have or what you do to keep your peace, to maintain your peace.
Well, like I say a lot, I pray, I talk to God, and I also talk to myself. The Bible teaches you have to encourage yourself in the Lord, encourage yourself sometimes. So that means you have to talk to yourself and do things that lift you up. Because sometimes it's gonna be in life where you're gonna have nobody to lift you up. So you got to learn how to talk to yourself, encourage yourself. And I usually use my grandchildren, but right now, at times me and my daughter don't. It's hard for us to mesh to get along. So I usually use my grandkids. We do things. We go out. We ride 4 wheelers. We go swimming. We go hiking. I do so much. I try to do so much with them, and things that they like to do, skating and cooking. And they like to eat, and I cook what they want and things like that. That really helps me, look past my trauma to know that I got, grandkids and people depending on me that love me, and that's how I kind of get through my time. But most of it is prayer, because most of the time I'm by myself. And then when I get out and get to speaking, and when I get to telling my story and to different places and different people, and especially people in places I think it's going to matter at. And then guys call me. Some guys still contact me I was locked up with, and guys that's out and doing good, and some guys that still in there call me and encourage me. So it comes. And like I say, forward justice and
Yeah,
different people, my lawyers, they
yeah.
still in my life, calling me and check on me, come visit me, come. I take them out to eat, or they take me out to eat. We go out and talk and spend a day together, things like that.
So we came into awareness. I knew about your story. I knew what was put in the media. What I didn't know how close that connection was to this institution. So Kimaya runs one of the forerunning leading tour projects here in Miami called Keys to Miami. And so she was preparing to do a tour, and I was preparing to release this exhibit under Gary Tyler, Grief Not Guilty. And I typically don't share about what I'm working on and what's happening. This is one of Gary Tyler's quotes right here, that while he was incarcerated, he learned how to quote, and this is one of those quotes. But I typically don't share. But Kimaya and I are more than just co-workers in this tourist space. We actually have a great respect. She's a member of Delta Sigma Theta. I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. So we got fraternity love. And she's proven to be an all around wonderful person. When I shared with her what I was preparing, the amazement on her face to know that she knew somebody or she could talk to this and share who you were and what that was. I am curious to know when you hear other family members who have been cheerleading and support. And sometimes I know that there are people incarcerated that do not have family
Exactly.
behind them. Um, what are you what are you able to speak to when it comes to the importance of family during these moments, like a Kimaya being in that space, and she just recently told me your Facebook, that they created a whole campaign just like Free Gary Tyler. They created I Am Dontae Sharpe. Like they created a full campaign, and it still took a long time. But what? Why is that important?
Well, like you just said, family is really important because one, they know you better than anybody on the outside could. And in prison, a lot of people don't have family. And in prison, going through situations, whether you're guilty or innocent, if you don't have family or people that are close like family on the outside supporting you, what I learned and what I experienced, and that are willing to call to the prisons, make moves for you, and show these people that you got somebody out there to show the system that you got somebody out there that love you and care about you and willing to sacrifice that time, money, and anything else to make sure you're safe, comfortable, and delivered or free the right way. They would You will be shut up in there. Your health won't be taken care of like it should be, like it should be as a human being and not just a third-rate citizen or whatever. You're not even a citizen anymore when you go to prison. Let me take that off. Like a third-rate human being in a third world country. You know, I can't even say that because I've traveled a lot now and visited countries, and they take care of their people, whether the people, the system want to let us know that or not. But in prison, if you don't have someone on the outside, they'll do you dirty. To put it in layman terms, street terms, they'll do you dirty. They'll do you any kind of way. They really will. Not trying to bash the system or destroy it. I'm just speaking the truth, not just facts, because I experienced and I lived it for more time in my life was spent in prison than it was in society. So I know, and it will. Unless you got somebody that loves you and care about you, a lot of time it's family or close family. It could be a friend, long as they love you enough to put in the effort to make sure you're taken care of.
Yeah. I want to ask you about convict leasing. So this was a term that obviously was back, has been around, right? But we're recently seeing the use of incarcerated people being used for like the LA fires, in order to go out and serve and fight those fires, and they receive like minimum fee. But then there are those that are working in restaurants and other businesses, corporate businesses. Did you see any of that access or leasing out of prisoners into the workspace Gary Tyler mentioned when he was making these quotes, he would get nothing but a penny back for quilts that were selling for hundreds of dollars, right? But he would get a penny. Can you talk to that work outside of the prison life and what that was? Did you see any of that?
Oh yeah, they got stuff. They got like the road squad where they go out and dig ditches and stuff like that, and they pay them what was it 70 cents a day or something like that, and that was brutal work. They used to have to make people go out there. People would go to segregation, get locked up in a lockup to not go out there. They used to come in covered from with mud from head to toe. I remember stories and hearing and seeing one camp I was on. They were sending the inmates. It's crazy, man. I'm just saying, think about it. They were actually thought they were gonna get away with that forever, sending inmates to their buddies' farms and stuff to do work. And one of you supposed to be doing that. I seen, they have stuff like sewing plants, fine plants, hosiery plants, but they were paying the guys at that time. And they got work release programs too. When you're in honor grade, that's when you're about to get out, or you don't did your time, or you had a small amount of time, and you get green clothes saying you're about to get out, so they'll give you jobs. You're eligible to get jobs outside of the prison, to go work at different factories and things like that. And the jobs in prison, you make 70 cents a day. Some of them make 40 cents a day. It depends on what type of job you got.
Uh-huh.
But I actually seen them. We had a lot of program where cats, inmates, guys leave the prison and go to do other jobs. Some of them were minimum wage jobs, but you still had to pay the system. So if you made $300, they got 150 of things
Mm.
like that, and the rest went in your account. You had to pay for your lunch and stuff like that.
So I have heard of people when they are released that they actually owe back the prison, like they have a bill. Like I don't know if that's because of credit that has been not used. Is that something that you've heard or seen?
Oh yeah. If you go to medical, they started charging them for medical services a few years ago. Now it probably was 20 years, 15 years ago. They started charging you for medical service. You had to pay $5 for a regular medical visit, and a medical emergency was $7. Before I got out, I think a medical emergency went up to $10, and a regular emergency stayed to $5. And if you went to medical a lot, like people used to do, some people go there for all kinds of reasons. They might not have been sick or whatever, but and your medical bills the money that you owe will build up. And if you didn't have a job, you owed money, and when you got out, you still had to pay that money.
Pay that money back.
Hmm.
Wow. What can we expect as we get ready to wrap up? What can we expect in the next 5 years from Dontae Sharpe? I mean, I know we just cut the surface. I didn't want to get too big into all the injustices that you had to hurdle in order to get your exoneration. But are we looking at a book? Are we looking at a film? Like, what can we expect in the next 5 years from Dontae Sharpe?
Well, God willing, I still be here, still be
Okay.
alive. Because you don't never really know. I try to take one day at a time and whatever God give me, but being optimistic and full of faith, I'm believing. I just got off a meeting before I got on this with you, and with Forward Justice, we're looking into my book. I had
Okay.
wrote a book when I was in prison, but I got rid of it because you would get locked up for stuff if you put in there, and it might have something in there. It might not been gang related, but if they deemed it to be so, they would lock you up and charge you with all kinds of stuff and keep you in segregation for years. And it was a lot to go with, so I got rid of that. So, and I don't think it was me. I think now is the time to write it. But a book, I got a podcast might be coming soon. I'm looking into that with Forward Justice, through Forward Justice, and a YouTube channel geared towards prison reform and really wrongful conviction work, trying to get the pardons processes changed after you get pardoned. Because I got pardoned by Governor Roy Cooper. We had to fight for that for like year and a half or so after I got out, 2 years. We had to
Mhm.
march and do all that stuff, go down to the governor's mansion in Raleigh, stand out there. I had to speak a few times there, me and a lot of other people. Reverend T. Anthony Spearman, God bless the dead, great man of God, stood out there, camped outside there with a tent and food and camped outside there till I got pardoned. So there's things I got coming. I want to really use the podcast but that's going to be later on down the road, like you say, within the 5 years. But the next thing I'm doing is the YouTube channel is going to be geared towards going around and finding guys that's been exonerated. It's a few of them I know right here in North Carolina, but all over. I'm wanting to do it like that. Travel to their cities and just let them tell their stories. Because a lot of them are really doing bad. A lot of guys that was exonerated, they didn't get pardoned like me and get the $750,000 that you get, that you cap that, which is not enough money. I want to do speak about that too. And there's a lot of guys didn't get nothing when they got exonerated, and they're out here living hard and rough. So I want to be able to help them and let them get their word out and maybe do some. That's coming in the next probably couple of weeks. The YouTube channel, and interview those guys and get their story out. Maybe they can get some help and be able to just let them talk and get it out and say what they need to say. And that's in the near future. That'll probably be the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, the I think forward justice has really played a integral role in your, I won't say fast, but at least in the guided process. And I don't know how many participants like yourself are on the forward justice platform or on their case or roster, but I will say that between the Innocence Project Network, that this exhibit has been partnered, like I mentioned about University of Miami. But I know that there are a number of groups and organizations, grassroots, that are out here working with formerly incarcerated and wrongfully convicted persons that I believe we should be uplifting.
That's
And so,
right.
again, I know that during a time when challenges and financial challenges are about us, and we don't know what is to come with our new leadership. But one thing is for sure, injustice is still peeking its head around every single corner.
Yes,
And
sir.
so, with you, I want to congratulate you. I want to thank you for being brave, for being courageous, for being, you know, responsible, for this life that you've been given, because I know it. I only know that it's not easy because I see it in the way you traverse. I know it's not easy, and I don't.
Mm.
I know a lot of us when we look in the mirror, we don't think that it could happen to us, and it can. And you make it known that if it does happen, just know there's a get back up again moment.
Yes,
and
sir.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to your cousin. I look forward to actually sitting with you live and in person. I feel the energy now, but I know the energy live and in person is gonna be dope. It's gonna be amazing. And I'm looking forward to reading your book. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens as you elevate the stories of these other um, exonerated exonerated people who are out here, men and women, who are white and black,
Exactly.
Jews and Gentiles,
That's right. That's right.
Protestants and Jews. They all out
Yes,
here.
sir.
I want to make sure that we give any way we can, or anything that I missed or I need to say, any handles or websites that you want to give so that the audience can continue to support and follow you. Um, I'm, I am saying this openly. This was not asked, but if you would like to even donate, is there any location where people can donate to Forward Justice or to you directly? Let us know. Let us know that information.
Okay, and man, I thank you, man. I really do, man. I appreciate what you do, man. To really, because I pride myself on learning as much as I can, and not just about stuff down here, but spiritual stuff too. I really do. I try to learn, and every day I try to learn something. When I heard about the Black Police Department, it really, ask you, Mike, when she said that, I lit up. I was like, what? I never heard it, and I want you to know, be looking out for me. Like I'm going out of country in 2 weeks for my birthday, my 50th. When I get back, I done
Woo!
told Kimaya I'm coming back to Miami. I done been twice. Everybody talking about you love Miami, you love Miami. Well, my cousin down there, and I'm proud of her, and she's doing wonderful. And now I met a good brother down there that's doing work that seems to be a great brother. And I'm coming down there. I want to see that. The first thing I told her, I said, yeah. When I found out it was a black police department that I never heard of, never knew nothing about, I said, that's crazy. But I'm coming to see it probably, and you can mark this on your calendar. I'm coming to see it probably during the summer, even if it ain't nothing but 3-4 days. I'm coming down there because it's about time for me to visit Miami again. And I'm coming there. I'm going to get Kimaya to bring me there. With her, key to MIA be wide open, and I'm gonna let her take me all around again to those places. And maybe we can get up with you and connect with you, and you could take me, and we could really have you could teach me, inform me. I need wise counsel.
Man, I think that's gonna be a shared opportunity. That's a reciprocity moment right there for sure. I
just want to say, if anything they want to donate, forwardjustice.org. That's where everything is going to. I'm good. Maybe in the future, when I get my stuff set up and going, because I really want to, get my organization in the future. But I really want to do whatever God wants me to do. And I think right now it's just to get the word out, give guys opportunity, and women and black, white, and Jews, Gentile, everybody that's been exonerated, and to get them an opportunity to really get that say out.
Yeah, absolutely. I thank you very much. This is Dontae Sharpe, everyone. We are so grateful. Thank you to Forward Justice. Thank you to Stephanie Create, who helped to produce this show. Thank you to the Black Police Precinct Courthouse Museum, who gives me the access and ability to be the executive director and the cultural curator here. Listen, our exhibit, Grief Not Guilty, Reclaiming My Time. We reclaiming some time. We calling it all back. It closes. This exhibit, part of the exhibit is here, which features the fabric artwork of Gary Tyler, as well as the, my hand's in this, that way. There it goes. As well as the wreath floral designs of Quinavia Love, who's a local designer, a floral designer. And then if you look right here, that is the work of Marcus Blake, who actually has a closing show this Friday as well. So Grief Not Guilty, Reclaiming My Time, it concludes, I guess I will say this iteration of it concludes this Friday. It's free to the public here at the museum, 480 Northwest 11th Street. Please come out, enjoy the exhibit. Want to give special thanks also to Beyond the Bars, who has products and has actual work here and does the work on a day-to-day basis here in Miami, as well as the foundations that have sponsored and supported us. The Community Redevelopment Agency of Overtown, who also assist with funding this exhibit, as well as our Soul Basel Committee. That is where we launched this great exhibit out of. And be on the lookout. We have other exhibits. All of them and all of our exhibits are really to connect and to amplify the work that the initial officers and Judge Lawson Thomas and Judge Johnson and the 5 Jewish judges that supported this institution. So once again, my name, if I didn't say it already, my name is Terrance Cribbs-Lorrant, also known as Vessel. I am the museum director and cultural curator here at the City of Miami Black Police Precinct Courthouse Museum. Until next time, have a great one. Awareness plus education equals smarter choices. Know the law.
You are not allowed to carry a weapon in any police station,
into the jail, the airport,
school, college, or university.
If a police officer stops you, the best thing for you to do is to place your hands where they can see both hands. Then you want to inform them that you do have a weapon.
If you plan to purchase a weapon in the state of Florida, make sure it's from a reputable dealer or a licensed professional. You will need to be age 21, no felonies, and no mental conditions.
You can go to the website, Real Chapter 790, Florida State Statute, and that will enlighten you on the carrying of a permitless firearm.